Did you know there's multiple different types of MRIs? So when we're talking about the different types of MRI, there's going to be two different parts to this. One is going to be more the machines. The other part, that's going to be more the technology and the application of those machines. Before getting into the different types of MRI machine and the different applications of those machines, it's good to understand exactly what is an MRI machine. So an MRI machine is a way that we're going to be examining the images of the body, and we're going to be looking particularly more at soft tissues. That's where it's going to show things better than it would say on an X-ray or CT. Maybe not quite as good at looking at hard bony tissues, but very good at looking at soft tissues and very good at looking at things in a lot of detail. This is going to be using magnets. So essentially, at a very simple level, the magnets are going to spin around you. And as they're spinning around, they're sending bits of information, radio waves towards your body. And then as those radio waves essentially stop, your body then is going to be sending off information that the machine will detect. And the detection is what tells you where different parts are in the body without having to do anything invasive. So even though it is using magnets, this is not invasive, and it's definitely just not using any ionizing radiation like we would see in an X-ray or a CT scan. Some of the benefits of MRIs will be that they're very detailed, that they're very versatile, and that they can show a range of different parts of the body. They can be very helpful when you're going up for a surgery, or if you want to make sure that things are less invasive or there's no ionizing radiation. Some limitations of MRIs would be the effectiveness that it has for bone injuries or cancers, because it's particularly good at looking at soft tissues, but harder tissues like bone or certain types of cancers will not be shown quite as well. The other aspect, which would be a bit more of a problem, is that you can't move. If someone is moving while they're in the machine, it's going to affect how things look. It's like if someone is shaking around while you're trying to take a picture, at least with an older camera, it may then look very blurry. And the same problem would happen with an MRI, whereas with an X-ray or CT, it captures things very quickly, and then we get one easy still image. Let's start with the different types of machines. First, we have the closed MRI. This is the one that most people will think of when they're thinking about these kinds of machines. This is the one where you go into the tube. Some people may feel a bit uncomfortable because there can be some claustrophobia, but it is one of the highest quality types of MRI that we can take. Next, we have the wide bore MRI. This is very similar to the closed MRI, but to be honest, it's just a bit bigger, because if someone is maybe a bit broader or a bit bigger of a person, then they need more space that they can fit into the machine. Next, we have the open MRI machine. As it sounds, this is much more open than the closed claustrophobic feeling that you might get from a closed MRI. However, because of this, usually the quality of the images is not going to be quite as good. And then finally, we have the open upright MRI machine. And while this is one of the lowest qualities in terms of the 4 different types of MRI machine, this is the one which has different functional uses. Either if someone is not able to get into a flat machine, or maybe they're not comfortable or feeling more claustrophobic, but also more functional uses in terms of what you can see in the body, because now the body will be in more of a load-bearing position. So especially say in the lower back, the discs, and what the effects those discs will have on the nerves, this can be particularly shown well by this type of MRI machine, but it's not as commonly used. So that was the different types of MRI machines. Now let's get more into the applications and the uses for it in a clinical setting. Here we have the standard MRI. This is where it's going to be taking this image all the way along the body, and then it's going to be cut into slices so the person who's looking at it can see different areas of the body, and they can kind of break things down bit by bit. If you think of it a bit like an onion, they're going to go through layer by layer so they can see exactly what's at that layer. And this can be applied to lots of different parts of the body. This can be, as you can see here, in the spine. It can be for the heart, for the chest, for the abdomen. It can be even parts of the pelvis. It can be other parts of the spine. It can be your arm. It could be your leg. Any different area where they want to see things in more depth. Here we can see a functional MRI, or an fMRI. This is usually taken where there's specific tasks which are given by the doctor so they can see where certain areas of the brain are lighting up. It's quite a cool thing when you think about it. The doctor will talk to the person while they're getting the scan to see which parts of the brain are being affected. And a lot of the time this is going to be taken either for research or before a surgery. Here we have a breast scan using an MRI machine. So primarily this is going to be looking at any growth that may have occurred, usually due to cancer, and it's going to be checking about the progress after any kind of treatments that may have happened, whether it's surgery or whether it's other kinds of radio frequency, anything that may have been trying to get rid of the cancer, and checking how well it's been responding. Here we can see MRV, or magnetic resonant venography. So as you may guess, this is going to be looking at the veins, particularly the ones that are going around the brain in the skull. Here we have MRA, or magnetic resonance angiography, and similar to the venography, it's going to be looking at the blood vessels, but instead of just looking at the veins, this is going to be looking more widespread at other blood vessels going throughout the brain. And this is a very common one that people will have after strokes, and looking at what's called the circle of Willis. And here we have a cardiac MRI. So it's an MRI that's going to be looking at the heart. This can either be as more of a live MRI, similar to the fMRI, where it's going to be looking at the function, the pumping of the heart, but it can also help to look for any other kind of congenital issues or other pumping problems. So these are the four main types of MRI machine which are used, and these are the most common applications of MRI technology in terms of a clinical setting. However, it really needs to be understood that there are many, many other things which can be brought into when we're talking about MRI, whether it's going to be how you're doing T1 or T2 weighted studies, where they start to have any other variations in how they're setting up the machines, what kind of things they're looking for at the body, even when it's not to do with a human that they're looking at, whether it's to do with animals, even trying to then use it for other forms of technology. So there's lots of things that can be looked at for MRI, but these are some of the most common applications and machines. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments, or you can always send me a direct message.